What's going on, everybody? Welcome on back to the channel. For this video, we'll be going over the very first tier list I have ever made in my life. I have never done a tier list before. This is my first time ever making a tier list. I've seen, this website plenty of times. I've just never used it for myself, but I decided to give my opinion on the entire roster of Smash Legends. And mind you, this isn't just BR. This isn't just duels. This isn't just Dominion. This is actually judging the legends off of them universally, right? How well are they able to perform in every mode, and like what tools do they have? So we can go ahead and start from the bottom and then work our way up, or we can just start from the top and then work our way down. You know what? We'll just start from the bottom and work our way up. So, starting off with Kaiser. The reason why Kaiser is low tier is that Kaiser needs a desperate buff. Kaiser can put in work. As you guys have seen in my video, I put in work. As you guys have seen in possibly other people's videos, other people's streams, potentially the games that you've even played against or even with Kaiser, is that he can put in work. If his teammates are there for him, he's able to follow up. He's able to hold point with his ultimate. If you're playing duels, he could do things like countering a Cindy dive kick or countering a Cindy ground skill and able to punch people out of the air. If MC does ground skill and you're able to react instantly, you could do a ground skill and then knock him off the map. Kaiser can put in work, but Kaiser can also be very, 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 very bullied. How bad it is with how much Kaiser can get bullied is as to why he's low tier. I feel as though a simple buff of giving his air skill hyper armor would take him places. It would take him so much further. But doing an air skill and just getting hit by, bro, I was playing Kaiser once. I did air skill with Kaiser and a Ducky hit me with their auto. Do you know how humiliating it is to hear a and the sound of a wooden broom clanking you upside the head, and you're this big muscle man Kaiser coming down from the heavens like a meteor strike, and you get stopped by a duck with a broom? Like, I feel as though Kaiser would definitely go places if he has it. We've already seen another character that does have hyper armor on their air skill, and that is Dawn. They could give Kaiser the same treatment of being able to get hit out of the startup of it, but I feel as though both Dawn and Kaiser would need faster activation on their hyper armor when it comes to their air skills. So unfortunately, Kaiser is low tier, and if he gets the proper buffs that he needs, then he could easily be mid or mid high. But for right now, because how bully he gets, unfortunately, he's low tier. Again, this isn't to say that you can't put in work with him. It's just, it's really bad for Kaiser right now. Witch Queen, the reason why she's low mid is that she doesn't really succeed in every mode, but she can put in work when it comes to Dominion. When it comes to Dominion, her stalling game is amazing. If you guys have or haven't seen my full guide on how to be good at Dominion, I do mention survivability, and survivability does take over or have priority over compatibility, or your combat ability. So the fact that Witch Queen does have an ability to where she can jump extremely high, and if players don't know how to deal with Witch Queen and respect the fact that she's in the air and just allow her to gracefully fall back down and then hit her, a lot of people will try to hit Witch Queen while she's in the air. Now, when you hit somebody when they're in the air, it resets their jump. So if Witch Queen is already jumping 50% higher, and then you hit her when she's in the air, she's jumping that much higher, and now she's able to do her air skill. Wait, air auto, air auto, air auto, air auto, air auto. And while you're trying to get her off the point, her teammates can be also fighting you. So now you're worried about her teammates, you know, trying to cause a ruckus for you. And then if nobody's focusing the Witch Queen, then she's able to do her ground skill. She's able to do her air skill, you know, slow you down. If she has ultimate, she's going to turn you into a frog. You have to be careful with, you know, who's exactly hitting Witch Queen, because if everybody is around Witch Queen when she gets damaged too much, and she has the ability to where it's a passive, to where if she, you know, drops down to a certain health percentage, then it turns everyone into a frog. Even though the moment you get hit, then you'll end up, you know, turning back into your regular form, but you still got turned into a frog, and that leaves you vulnerable. Then that ability resets. Well, that passive resets upon each respawn. If it's completely maxed out, then she has to wait 1 minute for it to come back, I believe. But, you know, if you take her out, then she's coming back with that passive again. So now every single time you're beating up Witch Queen like a punching bag, you're going to end up turning into a frog, and potentially your teammates too. And that could be a game changer. So universally, I believe Witch Queen is low to mid. She can put in work in Dom, but she doesn't succeed everywhere in the game. Now, when it comes to Brick, you know what? When it comes to Brick, I'm actually going to switch up some of these. I'm going to put these characters in low mid. Yeah. All right, cool. I think that's better. All right, so when it comes to Brick, Brick is going to end up being low mid. When it comes to duels, he's an extremely lame character. And now when I use the term lame, I mean in playstyle. When you're putting down walls, typically how it goes is that it's a stalemate, right? It ends up turning into a mini game of playing around Brick's walls. So that's what I mean by extremely lame character. It kind of just forces the neutral. And not much action is going on, so he doesn't really have crazy damage. He doesn't really have combos. There's nothing really interesting about him when it comes to duels and those 1v1 interactions, but he's able to shine a whole lot more when it comes to Dom. If you're able to properly place walls all around the point in different formations, and you're able to read the situations, then it can really cause a ruckus for the enemy team, because now they're going to have to be fighting around your walls. Now, mind you, they don't disappear upon getting hit by them. So if you're a really good Brick and you're able to, you know, build walls properly in different formations around the point, then it can really cause the enemy team to have some ruckus, right? And it can help you guys stall the point for even longer. But outside of that, universally, he doesn't really shine anywhere else outside of Dom. When it comes to Yong is the same way. I don't feel as though Yong can really shine in duels. Not to say that he can't work in duels, just like Kaiser. That goes for anybody. Anybody can work in any mode. But obviously, they're going to shine more in other modes than, you know, etc. So with Yong, he's also a lame character when it comes to duels. His auto isn't really all that exciting. His skill has a very, very short range. It's just a little headbutt. And then no one's really going to be allowing you to fully charge up your ground skill. And even if you do, it's extremely easy to dodge that little roll, and then you're left extremely punishable. His air skill is just a watered down Cindy. It's a homing attack like Sonic, but it does not reset on hit. Then his ultimate, it's really rare if you're going to end up hitting his ultimate in duels, and you really have to go for a setup to where, like, say if they're trying to come back and then you do your ultimate early so that by the time they're about to grab ledge, then you hit them, that type of thing. But he doesn't really do much. He's able to third party well in BR, but I feel as though Yong shines the most and is the most appreciated in Dom. Now, when it comes to Don Quixote, I feel as though is mid, because he can work in duels with his abilities. His pushback is amazing. You can actually get some pretty early KOs depending on the map that you're playing. His pushback is, again, amazing. It is really good, but he's not the best character. However, he can still work in duels. He can work in BR. And then when it comes to Dom, his ultimate is where he shines, right? So if you have, you know, an Alice, if you have a Ravi that's against you, you're able to use the ultimate. You're not going to get stunned. You're going to end up taking down the Ravi. You're going to end up KOing the Ravi because the Ravi is damaging himself if you're by him and you use ultimate. So Dawn is accessible to the casual audience. And a lot of these, mid to low tier characters is that they're all accessible. It's just that it takes a little bit more learning to really know how to use their toolkit. And once you're able to use their toolkit, then you're able to, you're able to do your part. You're able to fill your role and see some pretty good results. When it comes to Ducky, Ducky is going to be in mid tier, given the fact that she doesn't really have much going for her. Her broom does have really good knockback on it, but that's really all that she has. She's not able to properly help out her teammates all that much in regards of combat. But what did we say? Survivability usually comes first over your combat ability. So where Ducky shines, especially like whenever I'm playing Ducky, is that being able to stall is really, really important. You're able to, rack up those points. If they're not able to get you off the point, you may not be fighting, but if they can't get you off the point, you don't have to fight. You just stay on the point and collect points, So in Ducky's form, she has really good knockback, being able to cover her teammates and knock people away with her broom, and she's able to stall really well. Then Swan is really good. Swan covers a lot of range. She's able to have a lot of knockback, and she has really good damage. So the issue though is that you have to work your way up to Swan. So your teammates really have to hold it down. Now with Hook is going to be mid tier, just because not a lot is going either for Hook. Hook shines with her skill. Her autos has mid range. It doesn't really have a lot of range. I believe Robin has more range than Hook. They may have the same range, but I think that Robin has more range. Her damage isn't all that unless you're hit with skill or if she goes into ultimate, but her ultimate doesn't really change her. She has hyper armor only for the activation of it. It increases her damage and it increases her range, but nothing else about her changes, right? So she's able to work in BR, she's able to work in duels, she's able to work in Dom, but again, outside of her skill, she's not able to really provide much for her team. Other than, interrupting people or, just being a pester and not being able to really be touched when she's doing her air autos because she shoots downwards and she's interrupting you. But she's really not able to provide much for her team outside of, just skill. And if people aren't focusing her, then she can do a whole lot more. But again, universally, on paper, her tools just isn't all that. Kudonai, he's going to be mid tier, specifically for the fact that he's a duelist. It's just flat out just saying he's a duelist. You can work with him in BR, you can work with him in duels, but when it comes to Dom, he doesn't really have tools that deals with multiple people at the same time. He can get a single person off point, but usually that's going to take him off point as well. Given the fact that his strings are long, it leaves him open to be getting hit by other people. And typically you want to be getting people off the point as fast as possible. And he doesn't really have tools to get people off the point really quickly. His auto string is not until the last hit that he gets people off the point. When it comes to his air auto, it's the same thing. That typically it's the last hit of the air auto that gets them off, but you have to hit them 3 times before you even get to that point. Unlike, someone like Flair or Alice. So the fact that he's so single target oriented doesn't allow him to perform that well compared to others. Nui, she's going to be mid tier just because she shines the most in Dom. But when it comes to duels, she can be easily bullied. When it comes to BR, she can hold her own pretty well, given that there's a lot of chaos going on. But just her tools in general, she's a very vulnerable fighter. She's very punishable, very unsafe. But when she has support in Dom, she's able to put in work. So on the universal standpoint, I believe that she's mid tier. Octavia is going to be mid tier. primarily given the fact that her damage, she can fight people, right? But her damage is very low. So you're not going to really be putting in that much work in BR or in duels, other than just stalling your opponent just because you're able to out heal them. Now in Dom, she's amazing, given the fact that her ground skill can cover her teammates very well. It can take people off the point very well, and then her ability to heal herself and others is extraordinary. When it comes to Rambert, there's not much to Rambert. He's a shotgunner. I feel as though he's a really good ranged unit in the sense of he's a fair ranged unit. If you're getting beat by Rambert, then you pretty much deserve to be getting beat by Rambert. At max range, he doesn't really do any damage. The only thing that he does is make you flinch and interrupts things. But given the fact that he is a shotgunner, he has to be within close range to actually be doing some damage. His skills are fine. His skills, you know, either knocks you in the air if it's a ground skill, or knocks you far away if it's an air skill. His ground skill goes into a combo of doing an air auto. His ultimate isn't all that. He only has hyper armor during activation. It leaves a bomb behind. It can clear the point. You use it to dodge people, you know, it uses it as an evasive activation. So he's not too crazy. So I feel as though he's just a solid range unit. When it comes to Alice is going to be mid to high tier. Reason being is that her utility is amazing. If you're able to play around her mind, then her mind game is really, really good. Being able to knock people into it. If people aren't looking out for it, they're going to be getting stunned. You're able to follow up. In duels, she can do a lot of damage. She has a lot of set play. In BR, she's able to interrupt people. She's able to third party. In Dom, she's able to, you know, put down her mines, cover her teammates, catch people off guard. Her ultimate is amazing. It's like an AoE galaxy of being able to pull people in, stunning people, getting them off the point. So Alice is going to be mid-tier just because the general audience may not know how to utilize Alice, but she has I believe, a high skill ceiling, or a higher skill ceiling to achieve when it comes to performing well as Alice. Flare is going to end up being mid to high just because Flare's damage isn't really all that. In duels, it's just more so a mini game of when Flare jumps, you jump. When Flare's on the ground, all you do is just run, you know, diagonal, be it top left or, you know, bottom right, and just playing that mind game of getting too close. She wants to do air skill, Punisher, rinse and repeat, playing that mini game. She doesn't really have much going for her there. She's able to, of course, third party in BR, as BR is a third party game. And then in Dom, this is why she's considered high tier, because she succeeds so well in Dom when people aren't focusing her or her teammates are able to protect her. So the fact that she's able to work in multiple modes, but then also has a very, very solid game plan when it comes to Dom is the reason why she's mid to high. Her ultimate covers the point with fire, and then if she has the ability to where you can't really jump out of it, you're slowed down, and then she can continue shooting the ground to, you know, produce more fire pits. Flare can just be a menace when it comes to Dom. Now when it comes to Goldie is going to be in mid to high because she exceeds really well in duels. She can work really well in BR, and she can perform at a moderate rate when it comes to Dom. Is that her skill is an AoE splash effect, and so that helps out a lot of people when it comes to interrupting opponents, catching opponents off guard, interrupting them from hitting your teammates, and now your teammates are able to heal off of the people that is marked. You're able to heal off of it. Her auto has great knockback. She just has a really good toolkit to be able to be a proper support, get people off the point, and yeah, her ultimate is kind of lackluster, but it's good in the sense that, you know, it stuns people, it keeps people in place, it does good damage depending on the abilities that you rock, and you can heal yourself. So overall, Goldie is just a very solid character. Zepetta is going to be mid to high, given the fact that she's able to work in all modes, but her ground skill it has mid range. It's not something that's AoE, so you're not going to be interrupting people like someone like, you know, Alice, Flare, or Goldie Her air skill is the better one to use if you're trying to interrupt, given that it gives her some extended range and knocks people back, but she doesn't really have anything else going for her. A lot of people enjoy using her ultimate into skill, to where she eats damage if you try to hit her, and then hitting people with the uppercut, launching them to the moon. Her skill into auto is really good because it has a lot of range when it comes to, you know, reach, both in length and in height. So when it comes to her ultimate, she can really put in work. Her abilities also heals her, I believe, whenever she gets like a KO or something like that. So she can be viable in Dom. However, of course, I believe that other legends can outshine her. Coming, you know, bringing this back around to full circle, is that this is a tier list based off of legends universally, not just one specific mode. So I believe that Zeppetta works in all modes, so that would make her mid to high. Now, when it comes to Cindy, Cindy is going to end up being high tier. She exceeds exceptionally well in all modes. Her skill resets anytime you hit it. She has good damage. She has great knockback. Her ultimate is AoE. There's not much else to Cindy. She's just overall very, very solid, and she can really put in a lot of work. If you're playing Dom, you're able to ground skill somebody, air skill somebody, air skill somebody, air skill somebody, ground skill, ground skill, ground skill, ground skill, air auto, air skill, air skill, air skill, ground skill, air skill. Like, the fact that she's able to just be so oppressive with her skills in Dom is amazing. The fact that she has amazing combos, a large variety of combos when it comes to duels, when it comes to BR, is amazing. So she just has really, really good tools that allows her to be put into high tier. Peter is going to be high tier since he is the protagonist. Peter, if you don't know who to pick out of all of these characters, Peter is the best pick, given that he has everything that you possibly need. He has knockback, he has damage, he has AoE, he has great air autos, he has amazing ground auto, he covers a lot of range, like, he has combos. His ultimate is AoE, it covers a lot of range. Like, pretty much anything that you need, Peter can provide it. And I feel as though Peter is the best character for anyone to play. If they want to get better at the game, if they're learning the game, Peter is just a very, very solid and well-rounded character that they have created, and they did a very beautiful job with creating Peter. Ravi is going to end up being high tier, given the fact that he excels in every mode. His damage is great, his range is great when it comes to his skill. I chop it up to him being a better Kaiser pretty much, because they both throw hands. They're the only characters in the games that throw hands outside of Zeppetta, hitting you with, you know, her ground skill, and then you have, or her, you know, her ultimate instant skill, and then you have Wolfgang that claws you. He doesn't really throw hands, but Ravi, his ultimate is an amazing AoE that also does really good damage. So not only does he excel in a lot of modes, it's just that overall his tools is really, really good. You're able to utilize his skill, you're able to utilize his ultimate, and it's just, he also has a spike, his air skill into air auto, or even if you're just hitting air auto, he has great knockback on his spikes. Like, a very solid and well-rounded character. Rapunzel, she's going to be put into cheap. Now we're going to be entering the realm of cheap, cheap, broken, and broken. So for cheap characters, they're pretty much high tier characters, or anyone above high tier is obviously high tier, right? But Rapunzel is cheap but not broken. Reason why Rapunzel is cheap is because of her air autos. There's not much of a fight when it comes to Rapunzel. When it comes to duels or even BR, it really just boils down to neutral. If you're either going to respect her range, or if you feel as though they're not going to do anything, then you just go full sin and just charge straight at them. That's the best advice that I can end up giving anybody, is that, you know, you can't really respect her range and respect the neutral too much. You're going to have to take control and end up pushing her extremely fast, or else you're going to be getting hit with the ground skill, or if they end up trying to go for an air auto. But what you want to do is close that range, that way she misses her ground skill, right? Getting back on track with why she's cheap is really just because it's just a one-sided match. It just boils down to Rapunzel's doing air auto, 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 air auto. Her verticality on her air auto is great. The range on it is amazing. The range on her ground skill is amazing. Her damage is amazing. Yeah, that's pretty much like just what it boils down to. There's not much that you could really change about Rapunzel. I don't feel as though she's broken. She's just, as I put her, she's just cheap. When it comes to Master Cat is a heavy flowchart character. As some of you may or may not know, is that he's actually on the DF roster. Now, you guys may be wondering, why is a cheap/broken character on the DF roster, right? When no other cheap/broken character is on the DF roster. The reason being is because Master Cat is a flowchart character. If you know the flowchart of how Master Cat works, you can actually fight Master Cat pretty well. What makes Master Cat cheap is the fact that he gets his ultimate very quickly if he lands 3 auto attacks. What makes him broken is his abilities, and more along the lines of his ultimate. His ultimate ends up doing a lot of damage, but if you have abilities with Master Cat, that's what makes him broken. If you're playing Master Cat, you should not be equipping any abilities, given the fact that that's what puts him in the same realm of Jacko. Jacko is just straight broken, right? So at the core, Master Cat is just cheap, right? But if you rock abilities with him, then he's broken. How would you fix the broken characters? Is just reduce the damage. Reduce the damage of Master Cat's ultimate, and you could change his ultimate to where, make it to where he needs 4 hits or 5 hits, right? If they did that, I feel as though that would completely change how oppressed people feel about Master Cat, and like reduce his DOT, which is damage over time. He wouldn't have access to his ultimate as quickly, and he would actually have to work for it more. So I feel as though that would be a very good adjustment for him, making it to where he needs to land 4 to 5 autos, and also reducing the damage of his ultimate. Robin is in the realm of cheap/broken because Robin is tolerable. You can deal with Robin. Robin is another flowchart character to where you just have to know, when he jumps, he's unsafe. You have to push Robin. You cannot respect the neutral or respect his range. Actually, no, Robin isn't a flowchart character. He's a generalized flowchart, because everyone has, their safe and unsafe things. Master Cat is a specific character matchup flowchart character. But back on track with Robin, is that Robin isn't too crazy, right? The most crazy thing that Robin has is his recovery. He barely has any, if any, lag on his landing, right? He doesn't really have any landing lag, so he's able to do air auto auto, air auto auto, air auto auto, air auto, air auto, air auto, right? If they were to adjust that and make it to where it's like everyone else that follows the same formula of them getting punished upon landing, that would completely change how Robins play. And they would have to, it would bring more value and more reward to Robins actually doing their air auto. But that may take away, actually no, it wouldn't take away. Make it to where if he lands air auto, he can still combo into auto. But make it to where if he doesn't land air auto, there's enough, I guess. Okay, so that's what they would have to do. They would have to add more hit stun to his air auto. So if he lands his air auto, he has enough recovery time to be able to follow up with his ground autos. But if he misses his air auto, then make it to where there's enough landing lag to where people can properly punish him like the rest of the roster. Except for Zeppetta. Zeppetta also has the same issue to where when she lands, she can just do it again, and it's annoying to deal with. When it comes to Robin's abilities make him broken because of his damage, right? So it's another instance of just adjust the damage, adjust that, the landing lag, and Robin would be more tolerable. He would probably still fit in the category of cheap, but he wouldn't be broken. Snow, cheap and broken. Cheap in the sense of his combo of, skill, ult, auto. Broken in the sense of obviously his abilities and his just raw damage. Getting hit by one punish should not be costing you 75%. So they need to reduce his damage and reduce how quickly he gets his ultimate back. If they do both of those, then Snow would just go under the lines of cheap because, you know, skill, ult, auto, right? But if they reduce those things, he wouldn't be broken because his damage wouldn't be broken, right? He would just be a pain to deal with. And he could even possibly reduce from being cheap, because if he wasn't able to do that as frequently, there wouldn't really be anything to complain about, because you'd be getting hit with, you know, skill, ult, auto every so often. You wouldn't have to worry about him zipping around, as well as, you know, hitting this person, boom, ultimate, hitting this person, boom, ultimate, hitting this person, boom, ultimate, and just dodging everything. So he would then fall into the realm of high tier. Red is cheap / broken. She's cheap just because of, you know, going invis. Yes, you can see her little feet, you can see her footsteps, but overall it's still invisibility. And then broken because of the abilities. The abilities just make her damage absurd. Even without the abilities, her damage is absurd. Her combos is just crazy. So the fact that she has all of this is what makes her cheap and broken, but not just straight up flat out broken, because she's still able to be handled. When it comes to Wolfgang, Wolfgang is cheap / broken. Broken in the sense of, commonly within this category, is damage. Just reduce the damage and he won't be broken. So if you reduce the damage, he won't be as broken, but he can still be cheap, given the fact that he can just be very, very oppressive. He can stay on top of you and just be a lot to handle, but he wouldn't be broken because what makes him broken is the damage. Now, when it comes to Jacko, the reason why Jacko is broken, right? Something I didn't state, you know, coming off track of Jacko real quick, is that obviously the characters that are in cheap / broken excel in every mode. Just wanted to make that clear. Now, with Jacko, the reason why he's the only character that's in broken right now is because his ultimate. Jacko could easily be within low to low mid. Jacko could easily be low mid. If, yeah, well, yeah, he could easily be low mid. But what makes him broken is his ultimate. As everyone should know, is that you get hyper armor off of your ultimate. Jacko is unsafe if he hits you at full health when he does his air auto. His regular ground autos doesn't really do much damage, doesn't really knock you back, and it's only 2 hits. His ground skill doesn't really do much damage. It does decent knockback, and then when you're at lower thresholds, it really does a lot of knockback. He's really just a knockback character and just someone just to, you know, get you off, right? Get you off the point, or, you know, get you off the ledge. Just giving you a hard time, you know, keeping your ground. That's all Jacko is. But what makes him broken is his ultimate. On paper, he should be winning every single engagement. If you try to attack, he can use his ultimate and eat your damage and hit you with his, and then he hits you with either auto or his skill, and he has his ultimate back again. His auto and even his skill gives him about 40 to 45% meter back. I apologize if you guys heard that. There was a dog barking outside. But anywho, his auto and even his skill gives him like 40 to 45% meter back, and that is ridiculous. When he throws his ultimate, he doesn't even have to hit it. Now, mind you, hitting the ultimate doesn't give you ultimate meter back, but upon catching it, gives you like 90% of your meter back. You don't have to work for that. You literally just press your ultimate and get it back. When people combo with their ultimate, they're only getting about 25% of their ultimate back. Jacko completely negates that format. So because he gets his ultimate back so quickly and he's able to use it so frequently, that's what makes him broken. Jacko isn't actually a good character. He isn't. The only thing that makes him excel is his ultimate. And I feel as though the devs don't really know how to properly rework the character. Say if, you know, if you want Jacko to have his ultimate back, then make it to where he has to stand still and throw his ultimate. So if he's in Dom, make him like a range character, make him like a Flare, how Flare has to stay off the point and continue shooting. Say Jacko has to stay off the point, throw his ultimate and stay in a stance and then catch his ultimate again. That way, he's rewarded a bunch of his meter back, but he's not able to do combos off of it. He's just providing support. So he's continually, throwing his ultimate, catching it, throwing his ultimate, catching it, throwing his ultimate, catching it. And so if somebody catches onto this, someone is going to have to say, yo, somebody needs to go off a point and get this Jacko. If you're fighting him in duels or in BR, he's not going to be able to just stand there and catch it unless he just wants to, throw out his ultimate, right? So if they did something like that, that would be great. Or if Jacko decided to do a follow-up, then make it to where he can't catch his ultimate. He has to throw it and either choose to stand still and catch it without a follow-up, or throw it and do a follow-up without catching it. Therefore, he only does get that 25% ultimate back. I feel as though doing that type of rework would completely change the way that Jacko is played and the way that people perceive Jacko, to where he would not be broken, because he wouldn't have it all the time in the sense of just being able to just beat people up. He would just be a ranged unit similar to, Hook or even Flare, staying off point and just being a menace. All right, so that was my complete character breakdown of all of the characters universally across every mode, all of their tools, etc., and how I feel about them. So if you guys have any different opinions, then let's have a discussion. This isn't to say that, my word is absolute. I would like to know what you guys think. What you guys think about my opinion, and I would like to hear your guys' opinion in the comment section below. And what type of, nerfs or buffs do you guys believe that any of these legends deserve? Outside of that, you guys already know the routine. Make sure you're liking, commenting, engaging, and sharing this on every single social media platform that you can possibly think of. If you guys want to be more included in our community, then definitely be sure to join the Discord. It's in the description below, and head on over to twitch.tv/METSURJKEN and follow me over there on Twitch. That way you guys can catch me whenever I go live and we can have some fun together. This is Metsu. Hope you guys take care, and I'll see you around.